DJ Payne 1.
Hello, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the CEO Sports Show for October 10th, 2025. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the Eagles versus the Giants game that happened last night on Thursday Night Football. Before we get into the episode, I know I haven't been live at all this week. I kind of just needed to reset from both work and this for just a few days and get back on track. So, going to be doing this full-time pretty soon, so I can't wait to do that for you guys pretty soon, and the content is just going to go through the roof here at Kretschman Media. So make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure to check out the other shows on Kretschman Media. I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, so we got to get into last night's game. We got to get into my instant reaction from last night's game. The Philadelphia Eagles are in big trouble. They are in big trouble. And a solution that I've heard to the Philadelphia Eagles offense is that they just need to run the ball more. Guys, Saquon Barkley is not having a good year this year. 3.4 yards per attempt. Even yesterday, 12 carries for 58 yards. He averaged 4.9 yards per attempt. He had one long run of 18 yards that really helped his total there. The Philadelphia Eagles cannot throw the ball. They cannot run the ball. They can't really do that much offensively. Whoever you want to place the blame on, that's just the God's honest truth. They're not a good offense. And will it get solved this year? I don't know. I think they have the talent to do it. But the question that I have is, do they? Because that team is a team that is predicated off their ability to run the football. Can I just ask this question? Because I think people are dancing around this conversation. Saquon Barkley, has he declined as a player? He has. Saquon Barkley is not as good, not nearly as good as he was in 2024. And going into the year, I thought that was a storyline that not enough people were talking about. Saquon Barkley had close to 440 carries last season when you take into account the regular season and the postseason. He's 28 years old. This is a guy that has an injury history. I knew that Saquon Barkley wasn't going to be anywhere close to what he was in 2024. And my take about the Eagles offense and just the Eagles as a whole was, if Saquon Barkley isn't what he was in 2024, this team is going to take a gigantic step back, especially offensively, because their offense predicated on what he was able to do. Guys, it's just the running back position. You can't give your running back that many carries in a season and expect that this guy is going to be productive for you long term. This is why the Eagles last year, when people were talking about the passing offense, this is what people were talking about. You cannot give a running back that many carries at that age with that amount of injury history. So when I was screaming to the mountaintops, hey, they need to fix this passing offense, I was told they're winning games. Why does it matter? This is why it matters, because when you continue to give the ball to a running back, the longevity of that running back is going to deteriorate. And that's what's happening right now with the Eagles offense. Saquon Barkley is not nearly the player he was in 2024. And because of that, everything else is more difficult. Everything else for that offense is more difficult. Throwing the ball for them last year was a lot easier because of the attention that Saquon Barkley demanded. And because he is not the same player, that's why the Eagles offense isn't as good. Nobody wants to talk about it, though. Everybody wants to talk about the offensive coordinator and the quarterback and all these other things. Saquon Barkley is not the same player. Admit it. He's not the same guy. He's an all-time great running back. He had an all-time great season in 2024. He was an integral piece to the Eagles' 2024 Super Bowl run. Keyword, 2024, not 2025. Players change year in and year out all the time, especially at that position. And I'm not even blaming this on Saquon Barkley per se. It's just the nature of the position. But this is why the passing offense needs to be better. This is why it needed to be better last year, because you can't give your running back that many carries. You just cannot. And look, going into the future here, when you talk about Saquon Barkley and what he's going to mean for the Eagles' future, the Eagles have him under contract until 2030. With the void years that they have, he's going to be hitting their cap until 2030. This year, he has a cap hit of $6.6 million. Next year, he has a cap hit of $9 million. The year after that, he has a cap hit of $13 million. In 2028, he has a cap hit of $17 million. 2029, when that's his void year, 13.8. In 2030, he's under contract. Well, he's not under contract, but he has the void year for $18.7 million. Everybody gives Howie Roseman all this credit because he signs his guys early. Just sign your guys and pay them everything. That's what the NFL media tells you to do. Sign your guys and pay them all the money in the world. Yeah, because you never ran a business. You never ran a football team. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to running a football team. Howie Roseman made bets on guys like Saquon Barkley, having him under contract until 2030. They extended him this year, and he got universal praise for that. I knew that was a terrible idea. Oh, well, people are going to want to play for the Eagles organization. Really? Even if they want to play for them, are they even going to have the money to sign these guys? I mean, do you see their salary cap over the next few years? They are going to be stressed out with the salary cap because they put everything into these few years here where they could potentially make a Super Bowl run. And they won a Super Bowl. Credit to them. Nobody can ever take that away from them. But it comes at a cost, which is why NFL teams look at what the Eagles do and they say, hey, it could absolutely work, but it's risky. It's absolutely risky. The Eagles run the risk of being the New Orleans Saints, where they're in absolute salary cap hell for years. But hey, Howie signed his guys early, and he pushed all this money into the future. NFL media didn't tell you that. You want to know why? Because they're in bed with the agents. And what are the agents telling them? We love to play for Philly because Howie Roseman pays us early. He gets the deal out of the way. He pays all of our guys. That's great. But it comes at a cost. You can't keep signing guys to big contracts and expect that it doesn't catch up to you. It's going to catch up to them. The Eagles, they took a risk in this few years and they came out with a Super Bowl and a Super Bowl appearance. Credit to them. I am not taking anything away from them. But this is going to be the reality over the next few years. They're going to struggle to put competitive teams on the field because they put so much money into the future. They're going to struggle to sign guys. They're about to pay Jalen Carter to a big contract. And not only that, they still have guys like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean coming down the pipeline. They're going to have to extend Jalen Hurts pretty soon here, because he has like a $97 million cap hit I think what year is it that he has a 90s? He has a $97 million cap hit in 2029. 97 million. 97 million in 2029. I mean, if they don't extend him, that's going to be bad. Like, it's going to be very hard for them to field a competitive roster. So when you look at the Eagles 2029, what they have on their cap for 2029, 97.5 for Jalen Hurts, 22.8 for Lane Johnson in 2029. It is 2025. Lane Johnson is how old? Let me see how old Lane Johnson is. Lane Johnson is 35 years old. So when he is 39 years old, he's going to count for $22.8 million. AJ Brown, 29.3. Jordan Mailata, 35.7. Devontae Smith, 35.7. Saquon Barkley, 13.8. Landon Dickerson, 35 million. Jake Elliott, 8.6. Cam Jurgens, 15.7. Most of these are void years, by the way. Jalen Hurts, void year. Lane Johnson, void year. Jordan Mailata, void year. Devontae Smith, void year. Saquon Barkley, void year. Landon Dickerson, void year. Jake Elliott, void year. I mean, they have guys on void years like Zadarius Smith in 2029. It's a risky business, and they won a Super Bowl. Can't take that away from them. And I'm going to continue to say that because I feel like I have to say that, because there's going to be people that say, well, they won a Super Bowl, so it was worth it. Okay, sure. Like, yeah, not taking that away from them. That is a fantastic achievement. They were one of the best teams I've ever seen in my life. But now, this is the reality going forward. They are much further away from a Super Bowl than they are from winning a Super Bowl. Because they had, like, their offense is actually a bit older than people actually want to give it credit for. Like, they have a young defense, and they have some potential here going forward with their defense. When you talk about guys like Jahad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. But, like, they're not going to be able to sign all these guys. They're not going to be able to sign all these guys. They are going to be in salary cap hell. They're much further away from a Super Bowl than they are winning one. This is not like it was last year. When you look at what the Eagles did week 6 of last season, right? You go back to what they did week 6 of last season. They had, I believe this was, because they had the bye week. So that was 4, 5, 6. Cleveland 20-16. But their 6th game of last year, they beat the Giants 28-3. Does this team remotely look like what they did in their 6th game from last year? Because I don't think so. They're in big trouble. They are in big trouble as an organization. And nobody's going to talk about it because Howie pleases all the agents, and all these NFL media guys, they're all backed by the agents. That's why you see them pay them everything. Get out of here. I want to move on to the Giants, though, because we do have to talk about what the Giants did yesterday, because what they did was very impressive. Hey, Giants fans, you now have a Super Bowl window. And relax, it's not going to be this year. You're not winning a Super Bowl this year. You're not close. But when you look at the rest of Jackson Dart's rookie contract, after this year, he's going to have 4 more years under a rookie contract because he has that 5th-year option. Then for the first few years of a massive extension that they're going to sign him to, if he warrants that, because this is just, I think, his 3rd game starting. So we do have to pump the brakes just a little bit. But if they sign him to a big-time extension, the first 2 to 3 years of that extension, the cap hits are manageable. So when you look at the Giants for the next 4 years, they're going to have Jackson Dart under a reasonable contract. And then they're going to have reasonable cap numbers for the next few years after that. So this is your window here. You got about 6 or 7 years where you can make something happen. This is going to require competency from the front office, which, by the way, like, I know Joe Shane gets a lot of crap, but I actually do kind of like the way he builds teams from the perspective of he wants to get better on the offensive and defensive lines. Like, I will give him credit for that, but this is going to require a high level of competency from him. Same thing with Brian Daboll. But they have a quarterback that I saw yesterday, and I said, was it a perfect game? It wasn't a perfect game, but it was really damn close to it. It was as perfect of a game that you're going to get from a rookie quarterback. I mean, you talk about 17 for 25 for 195, 7.8 yards per attempt and a touchdown. Not only that, 13 for 58 on the ground and a touchdown. I mean, that's just impressive, man. What he does when a play breaks down and his ability to use his legs, that stuff is impressive. Like, and it's not just he's an adequate athlete. It's not just that. He is a very, very good athlete. Like, very good athlete. Like, I am so impressed with what I saw from Jackson Dart yesterday. So far this season, he's been fine, but yesterday he looked like he was special. Jackson Dart looked like he was a guy that he could potentially be one of these guys in the future where the top four guys that everybody likes to talk about, even though I do think we need to start reshuffling that top four, but like those guys are all going to be in their early to mid 30s by the time this guy enters his prime. You know, you talk about the next wave of young quarterbacks. This is a guy that could potentially be in that next wave of young quarterbacks. And it's been a while here for the Giants, but they have a franchise quarterback. And because they have a franchise quarterback, they now have a Super Bowl window. No, we have to wait and see, actually. I'm sorry. It looks like they could potentially have a franchise quarterback. And if he is a franchise quarterback, you now have to recognize that and you have to move forward with that. Giants fans should feel amazing right now because here's the thing. When it comes to NFL seasons, every team has their version of a Super Bowl, right? Not every team's going to win a Super Bowl. There are teams in different phases of where their team is currently at. Some teams are looking to get the number one overall pick so that they could potentially go get a quarterback. Some teams are, they have a young quarterback like the Giants do, and they need to see if the quarterback's good. Some teams, it's let's make the playoffs so that we can move forward with our organization. Some teams, it's we need to win the Super Bowl. Everybody has their version of this is what we need to get out of this season. And what the Giants needed to get out of this season is that they needed to see if they had a franchise quarterback. Because if not, they would be in big trouble. Or maybe not a franchise, but a guy that's looking like he could potentially be a franchise quarterback. I think right now, season's still young, but they might have their answer to that question. And if Jackson Dart proves that he has the potential to be a legitimate top 10, top 5 quarterback coming out of this season, as a Giants fan, you have to feel almost as good as a team who won a Super Bowl. Because that's your version of getting what you need to get out of a season. Because then at that point, the Giants they have the information of we don't need to invest at the quarterback position. We need to find everything else around the quarterback to make the quarterback as good as we could possibly make him. And look, they traded a first round pick for Jackson Dart for this season. They could have potentially been picking in the top 5 where they could get, a top flight quarterback. But the Giants organization, they saw something in Jackson Dart and made them say, we're going to trade future assets to go get this guy. And hey, look, even if the Rams end up with a top 7 pick because of the New York Giants and that draft pick, as a New York Giants fan, are you upset about giving away that first pick if Jackson Dart is a franchise quarterback coming out of this year and that's the way you feel? Are you really upset about it? Because if I were a Giants fan, and I'm not, I would feel good about that. So it's an organization, it's a fan base who, like, look, I'm a Cowboys fan. Obviously, Cowboys and Giants, they're divisional rivals. But at the same time, like, Giants fans, I do have sympathy for them. And I don't mean that from a condescending standpoint. Like, it is actually a great fan base. They're a loyal fan base, and they really haven't had anything to root for recently. So, hopefully for that fan base's sake, they could have something to root for going forward. Because it looks like they have a guy here in Jackson Dart. He was very good yesterday. And what I found funny was some people will find it funny. Some people will find it wildly unprofessional. But Brian Daboll yelling at the like the sports doctor checking out Jackson Dart for his concussion. Him yelling at him was kind of funny from the standpoint of it's like, man, this Russell Wilson guy stinks. This Russell Wilson guy is not good. Please get me my quarterback back. But I mean, 34-17. I mean, because I watched the first half and then I went back because when I woke up, I like fell asleep. I woke up, saw 34-17, and then I watched back from halftime. I was so shocked. I had to like readjust my eyes. I was like, what up? That says 34-17? No way, because the Eagles offense actually did look really good in the first half of this game. But yeah, that score was very, very stunning. I want to move on to, because I saw something that I just want to throw my phone through a wall. Trying to find this. Dan Orlovsky's MVP list. Okay, so Dan Orlovsky had the worst MVP list I think I've seen this season. In his top 5, he has Baker Mayfield at 1, Baker Mayfield at 1, Daniel Jones at 2, Jared Goff at 3. Okay, like I don't necessarily agree with that, but okay. Puka Nacua at 4, Emeka Egbuka at 5. How in the world do you have an MVP list and you don't have Dak Prescott or Matthew Stafford in your top 5, but you have Puka Nacua and Emeka Egbuka? There is no way you can tell me that those two players are more valuable to their teams than Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott. If Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott, if they get injured and they're out for the rest of the season, God forbid, their team's seasons are down the toilet. There is no hope for their teams. If Puka Nacua and Emeka Egbuka, God forbid, miss the rest of the season, their teams they're not on the same track as they were because those are two really good players, but you could still win a Super Bowl without your star wide receiver. You could still be effective without your star wide receiver. That's why the MVP award is a quarterback award, because the quarterback position is the most valuable position in the sport. And this is why I call Dan Orlovsky wacky Dan Orlovsky, because it takes like this. Okay, all right. Let's be 100% honest here. Dan Orlovsky is a Dak Prescott hater. We all know this. Ever since he got to ESPN, he never gives Dak Prescott the credit that he truly deserves. Every single time he has a chance to take a shot at Dak Prescott, he digs deeper than any other quarterback that he could take a shot at. Anytime he has a chance to take a shot at him. I remember against San Francisco, he was like, oh, well, look at this blitz that's coming in. Why didn't he throw the ball to T.Y. Hilton? Because there was a free rusher coming in his face. Like, that's what happened there. So he would have to completely readjust his body, set, and then throw the ball to T.Y. Hilton. Like, that's Kurt Warner said it. Not just me. Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, who's much better at breaking down film than Dan Orlovsky, than wacky Dan Orlovsky, said, no, that's not a throw that a quarterback can make. That's an extremely difficult throw. Like, he just digs way deeper on Dak than he does any other quarterback in the league. And if you're not putting him in your top 5 of MVP candidates, but you're putting Puka Nacua, who I think last week had like 85 yards, if I'm not mistaken, and they lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Like, they're a 3-2 football team, and he's a wide receiver on a 3-2 football team. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And this is why I cannot stand the like ultra nerdy football fans, which is what Dan Orlovsky is. He's like, you just have to watch the tape, man. You just have to watch the tape. Watch the tape. Oh, did you watch the tape? Or you what? Shut up. Like, shut up. There is a curse word that I want to say between shut the and then the and up that I'm not going to say on this platform. That's what I want to say to Dan Orlovsky, but I can't. It's like right on my chest. All right, you want to know what? I'm going to make the rare exception. Dan Orlovsky, shut the fuck up. Nerdy football fans, shut the fuck up. Like, It is. I talked about this the other day on my AJ Brown video. I cannot stand these nerdy, condescending football fans. I cannot stand them. They are condescending. They act like people who watch the games who may not have all day to break down all 22, which, by the way, a lot of those nerdy football fans inaccurately break down all 22. They don't know what they're watching. They don't know play calls. They don't know schemes and formations and defenses and defensive responsibilities and zone responsibilities. They don't know that stuff, but they'll sit there and condescend to you. I can't stand it, man. Like that is something that it makes my freaking blood boil. And we're going to end the show there because there's a lot of other things I want to say about Dan Orlovsky, but the fact that I think he's a phony, he's a fraud, and I don't think he's very good at his job. And the fact that I have very, very little respect for Dan Orlovsky and what he does, because yes, he does break down film well sometimes, but I also think that he uses film as a weapon to push certain narratives, whether it's for a player or against a player. Like, this man sat up there and said that Zach Wilson was a good quarterback. Like, Joe Namath said, Zach Wilson sucks. And Dan Orlovsky was like, Zach Wilson does not suck. Why'd you say that? Zach Wilson sucks. He's a bad quarterback. Relative to NFL terms, he sucks. Joe Namath was right to say that. Like, he was sitting up there, Mac Jones, he's actually really good. And hey, you want to know what? He actually might have been spitting there, but at the same time, we have to wait and see with that. Like, come on now. After 1 week, he was like, oh, I told people I was right. Shut up. You're a goofball. Seriously, what a goofball. Dan Orlovsky is such a goofball. Wacky Dan Orlovsky. That's his nickname for him on this show. But all right, I'm not gonna say anymore because relationships will probably get severed at that point. But that's besides the point. Please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Enjoy the games this weekend, and I will talk to you guys later. That has been it for the CEO Sports Show. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and peace.